Gypsies have been a part of the UK for 500 years, first recorded in Scotland. They've been recorded in the southwest of England for the last 400 years. My great-grandparents were from Somerset, and they were basket makers and, well, they called them cane workers and horse dealers. And they travelled throughout Somerset making and selling their wares. And back then, it was nice to see the gypsies come into the village because you could buy things that you couldn't get very often. So the gypsies would come into town and they would make their pegs and flowers, paper flowers, wooden flowers. And the ladies would go around from door to door selling their wares, and then they would move on to the next village. And that's how it went. And a lot of the Romany gypsies also were field workers. So accommodation years ago wasn't a problem because you'd go to the farms, you'd follow the seasonal work, and you would always have a farm to live on. But then different laws were put in England to try and stop the travelling and the nomadic life of Romany gypsies. So they bulldozed up and put big stones and rocks where the traditional stopping places on the roadside were. So gypsies then come to a problem. They had to find somewhere to live, and councils were meant to provide council sites, the same as council housing. However, they made one or two sites and then forgot about the rest. Now we're in the state we're in today, and you see a lot of the negative press of the Romany gypsies, and what a lot of people don't understand is that we are a part of this country and have been for 500 years. Actually, our culture and our heritage goes back 1500 years to India, northern India, and they travelled throughout Europe through the centuries, and they've traced this because of the language Romanis, and the words in Romanis go back to Sanskrit, old Sanskrit. So the language I use, although English gypsies do not use it fluently anymore, the words we do use originate from India, and a lot of Indian people understand the words we say. So we don't choose this way of life. We've lived this life for 1500 years, and a lot of the media press would assume that we do not contribute to the country. We take but don't give. Grandparents and great-grandparents and uncles of mine have fought in First World Wars, Second World Wars. They've also provided horses for the wars, and even in today's wars, gypsy men are fighting. But again, this is not put into the media, only negative press. When I was 3, my family emigrated to Australia as Romany gypsies, and when we lived in Australia, we lived in caravans, as a lot of British Romany gypsies went over there. But it was not frowned upon to live in a caravan in Australia. Many people lived in caravans. So wherever we went, we were accepted. We went from town to town. We always had a caravan park to move on to. Never ever any issues, never any problems. But in Australia, they had another group of people that they suppressed, and that was the Aboriginals. So when my dad used to say to me, God, they treat the Aboriginals like the gypsies, I couldn't quite understand because I'd never lived in England. I was 3 when I left. When I returned to England when I was 17, I then realised what he meant when he said they treated the Aborigines like the gypsies. 3 years ago, I came to the situation where I needed to find somewhere to live. So I come to a village in Somerset, somewhere where my family have existed for hundreds of years. And I found a piece of land, and I approached the planning officers and said, would I have a possibility of getting planning? And nobody knew me, so I didn't think they could judge me. And how wrong I was when over 100 people turned up to a village hall because they didn't want a gypsy living near them. That was 3 years ago. I've got my planning permission. I'm friends with 98% of my villagers. I'm now on the board of governors of the school. I attend all local barbecues, parties and what have you. And it was talking to the mothers afterwards, and I said, well, why did a lot of you go to the village hall? And they said it was because of the media, because of what they thought a gypsy was. And when they got to know me and knew I wasn't really a lot different to what they were, they then understood. But that was my story. But why I'm doing this video is to help all the other gypsies out there that might be coming to your villages to find somewhere to live, to make you have better understanding, that don't believe everything you read in the papers or see on the telly, because every community has an element of it that doesn't do things properly. And we're no different. But by and large, most of us are respectable, hard-working people that pay our taxes and contribute to society, unlike what the press would perceive us to be.